For decades, Israel and Iran fought a hidden war. They operated in the shadows, cyber attacks, assassinations, proxy forces across the Middle East. This long, simmering conflict was known to experts and governments, but it rarely reached the global public. The fighting was real but deniable. It was a contest of spies, special forces, allied militias playing out in places like Syria, Lebanon, Iraq. The world watched, hoping the shadows wouldn't give way to open warfare. When unspoken rules were broken and the conflict came out from behind the curtain, the change was sudden and dramatic. What had been fought by others on others' soil became a direct military exchange between two regional powers. The initial trigger, an Israeli strike on an Iranian diplomatic compound in Syria, echoed past attacks. Similar strikes had happened before. But this time, Iran responded differently. It retaliated directly, launching a massive wave of drones and missiles from its own territory toward Israel. That crossed a critical red line. It transformed the conflict, setting off a chain of events that pulled in global powers and reshaped world stability over 2 years. We'll explain how that moment spiraled into the wider war we see today in late March 2026. We'll trace key events, initial exchanges, the intense 12-day war of 2025, and the current expanded conflict involving the United States. We'll examine the main actors, the effects on the people of the Middle East, the global economy, international politics, and the daily lives of people thousands of miles away from any battlefield. This is how a regional shadow war became a global crisis. The journey from the first direct attack to today's multi-front war has been rapid and devastating. It drew in neighboring countries, disrupted the world's energy supply, and created new political fault lines. United States, Russia, China. Understanding this escalation is crucial to seeing how fragile our interconnected world is. We'll break the timeline into simple steps, showing how each decision led to the next, pushing region and world deeper into a crisis that now defines our era. The story is not just about armies and governments. The path to the current war was not a single leap, but a series of escalating steps. Each step made the next one seem necessary to the leaders who took it. The story of this conflict is a timeline of actions and reactions, a tragic sequence where de-escalation became harder with every passing month. It began with a single strike in 2024, proxy battles, covert operations. The direct confrontation simply brought the conflict into the open for all to see. From that moment, the region was set on a new and far more dangerous course, pulling nations into a vortex of violence feared for a generation. Looking back, we can see 3 distinct phases in this escalation. Graphic chronological infographic showing April 2024, June 2025, and January 2026, with escalating icons. The first was the initial direct exchange in the spring of 2024. This was the moment the unwritten rules were shattered. The long shadow war between Israel and Iran burst into direct conflict on April 1st, 2024. On that day, an Israeli airstrike hit the Iranian consulate building in Damascus, Syria. Map, April 1st, 2024. Consulate strike. The strike killed several high-ranking Iranian military officials, including a top general from the IRGC. For Israel, this was seen as a continuation of its long-standing campaign to degrade Iran's military presence in Syria and prevent weapons from reaching Hezbollah in Lebanon. It was a high-stakes move, but one that fit within the existing pattern of targeting Iranian assets in third-party countries. From the Israeli perspective, it was a necessary defensive action against a persistent threat on its northern border. Iran, however, saw the attack differently. Striking a diplomatic compound was viewed in Tehran as a direct attack on Iranian sovereignty, an act of war that could not go unanswered. The consulate is legally considered Iranian soil. For Iran's leadership, failing to respond forcefully would have been a sign of weakness. The pressure to retaliate was immense. After nearly 2 weeks of deliberation and public threats, Iran made its historic decision. On April 13, 2024, it launched an unprecedented barrage of over 300 drones and missiles directly from Iranian territory towards Israel, a first in the history of the two nations. The attack was designed to be a spectacle. The slow-moving drones were launched hours in advance, ensuring the world would be watching. Israel, with help from the United States, the United Kingdom, Jordan, and other partners, successfully intercepted nearly all of the incoming projectiles. The tense calm that followed the April 2024 exchanges was shattered in June of 2025. After more than a year of smaller-scale attacks, cyber warfare, proxy skirmishes, a new trigger led to a far more destructive phase. The catalyst was a sophisticated Iranian-backed drone attack that successfully penetrated Israeli air defenses. It struck a critical infrastructure site, aftermath of an airstrike on a strategic site, June 2025. The exact details remain contested, but the attack caused significant damage and casualties. In response, Israel launched a massive air campaign. It struck Iranian proxy groups in Lebanon. It struck proxy groups in Syria. And it hit strategic military and nuclear-related targets deep inside Iran. This marked the beginning of what became known as the 12-Day War. The conflict was short, but incredibly intense. For 12 straight days, the world watched. The fighting was fierce, causing widespread panic, forcing millions of civilians on both sides into bomb shelters. This war was different from the limited exchange in 2024. This was a sustained, high-intensity conflict. It resulted in hundreds of military casualties, significant civilian deaths in Iran, significant civilian deaths in Israel, significant civilian deaths in Lebanon. Major cities like Tel Aviv faced repeated missile alerts. Haifa faced repeated missile alerts. Normal life was disrupted. In Iran, the Israeli strikes were more targeted, but still caused damage to surrounding urban areas, and sparked fears of radiological leaks from targeted nuclear sites. The regional economy ground to a halt. Airspace was closed. Commerce was paralyzed. The 12-day war ended with a fragile, UN-brokered ceasefire. Both sides claimed victory, but both were badly bruised. To understand this conflict, we must understand the motivations of the key players. At its heart, this is a struggle between Israel and Iran, two regional powers with opposing ideologies and goals. For Israel, the primary motivation is survival and security. It views Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat. Iran's proxy network is seen as a ring of fire. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza. Israel's doctrine, preemption before threats fully materialize. For Iran, ideology, pride, and strategic ambition. Its ideology is anti-Western and anti-Israel, calling Israel the Little Satan. Leaders cast themselves as champions of regional resistance. Nuclear capability is deterrent insurance. Proxies project power without home front war, a lesson of the Iran-Iraq War. The United States is the third critical actor. As Israel's key ally, involvement was likely. Washington seeks to prevent an Iranian bomb and counter destabilization. Goals: ally security, oil flow, and credibility. Russia supports Iran modestly. China treads carefully amid oil dependence. Gulf states fear Iran, yet fear being caught in the crossfire. Quiet cooperation, public calls for calm. You know, the players are interconnected, making simple solutions elusive. The impact of this war extends far beyond the battlefields of the Middle East. It has sent a powerful shockwave through the global economy, affecting energy, affecting food, affecting trade. The most immediate and dramatic effect has been on energy prices. The Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important oil choke point. About 1/5 of global oil consumption passes through daily. Active combat in and around the Gulf makes tanker risk extreme. Insurance rates have skyrocketed. Many operators pulled back. Oil prices spiked and stayed elevated. Since the early 2026 widening, prices have hovered above $150 a barrel. Consumers worldwide face higher fuel and heating costs. Red Sea attacks have effectively shut the Suez route for many ships. Rerouting adds delays and costs, stalling supply chains. Shortages and tripled container costs add inflationary pressure, fueling food crisis fears. Higher energy, shipping, and input costs threaten food security, especially in Africa and the Middle East. The war between Israel and Iran, and now the United States, has profoundly reshaped global politics, creating new alliances and deepening old divisions. For the United States, the conflict is a defining issue, especially in an election year. Direct action against Iran drew a divided response at home. Supporters cite ally protection, energy security, deterrence. Opponents warn of an endless, costly war and risks to American lives. Europe faces economic pain and familiar fractures. UK joins limited military actions to secure sea lanes, while France and Germany emphasize diplomacy and restraint. Division weakens Europe's unified diplomatic weight. Gulf states quietly aid logistics but publicly call for ceasefire, vulnerable to retaliation. Russia provides cover and tech, seeing U.S. distraction. China calls for calm while expanding influence. The war becomes another arena of great power competition. Beyond geopolitics and charts, this war is a human tragedy. For millions, it is daily air raid sirens, displacement, and loss. In northern Israel, towns near Lebanon became ghost towns. Families fled as rockets fell. I spoke with a woman named Yael, a mother of 3 from Kiryat Shmona. She packed a single bag, unsure she'd see home again.
You hear the siren, you grab the children, you run, she told me.
Now they live in a hotel. The kids ask daily when they can go home. She has no answer. In southern Lebanon, strikes turned villages into rubble. Farms lie untended. Families flee toward Beirut. Overcrowded flats shelter the displaced. Infrastructure shattered. Life disrupted. Hope eroded. New waves of the internally displaced. Refugees in their own country. Futures stolen by a conflict they did not choose. As of late March 2026, the situation remains on a knife's edge. The expanded conflict involves the U.S., Israel, Iran, and its proxies, and is active on multiple fronts. U.S. and allied navies see near-daily combat in the Persian Gulf, in the Red Sea, protecting commercial shipping. Israel conducts airstrikes on Iranian-backed militias in Syria and Lebanon, while facing Hezbollah rockets. Iran, weakened by strikes, retaliates through proxies and with limited direct missile attacks. Resilience, refusal to back down. Diplomacy continues, but no lasting ceasefire. Ahead, either a grinding war of attrition with high global costs but contained, or a major escalation triggered by mass casualty strikes, a sunk U.S. warship, a ground invasion of Lebanon, or a broad bombing campaign in Iran, risking region-wide war and great power confrontation. Watch the Israel-Lebanon front, rhetoric from Washington, Tehran, and Jerusalem, oil volatility, and shipping from Hormuz and the Red Sea. The world is bracing, hoping for de-escalation.